There are rare moments in history when technical mastery, intellectual curiosity, and artistic vision align perfectly. For roughly 30 years, from the 1490s to the 1520s, Europe experienced such a moment. We call it the High Renaissance. It was a brief, intense explosion of creativity that set the standard for Western art for centuries to follow. While the early Renaissance centered on Florence, the High Renaissance shifted the center of gravity to Rome, driven by ambitious popes acting as patrons. This period is defined by incredible harmony, balance, and idealized beauty, and it is dominated by three titans whose name you definitely heard of: Leonardo, Michelangelo, and a personal favorite of mine, Raphael, who my dad is named after. Leonardo da Vinci was the elder statesman of the High Renaissance. He wasn't just a painter, he was a scientist, engineer, and observer of nature. For Leonardo, art was a science, a way to understand the world. We see this in Milan with the Last Supper. Before this, artists usually painted the moment Jesus breaks the bread. Leonardo chose the psychological explosion after Jesus says, "One of you will betray me." Look at their reactions. They are clustered in groups of three, a wave of emotion rippling away from the calm center of Christ. It's mathematically precise, yet deeply human. But his defining contribution to the High Renaissance style is found in the Mona Lisa. He perfected sfumato, literally smoke. There are no harsh outlines here. The corners of her eyes and mouth blur into shadow. This technique gives the painting its famous ambiguity. It's not a static portrait, it's a living, breathing mind that we can never fully quite understand. If Leonardo was the cool observer of nature, Michelangelo Buonarroti was the fiery embodiment of Neoplatonism, the philosophical belief that the artist's job was to reveal the divine ideal form trapped within matter. He considered himself a sculptor first. His David, created just as the High Renaissance began, changes the game. This isn't a victorious boy standing on Goliath's head. This is a man before the fight. He is tense. Look at the veins in his hand, the furrowed brow. Michelangelo utilizes contrapposto, the counterpose, to create a figure that's simultaneously still and charged with potential energy. It is the ultimate idealized human body. The Pope, Julius II, essentially forced Michelangelo to paint the Sistine Chapel ceiling in Rome. Michelangelo hated it. He wrote a poem complaining that his brush was dripping onto his face, making him a rich mosaic. Yet, he produced perhaps the greatest single work of painting in history. Over 300 figures, it's a sculptural approach to painting. The figures are massive, muscular, and dynamic. In the creation of Adam, he captures the precise split second that the divine spark is passed from God to humanity. It's monumentalism at its peak. Raphael Sanzio was younger than Leonardo and Michelangelo. He absorbed both their styles and synthesized them into something unbelievably graceful and harmonious. While Michelangelo was grumpy and solitary, Raphael was a charming courtier who ran a massive workshop. He became the favorite painter of the popes because his work perfectly visualized their power and intellect. His masterpiece is in the Pope's private library, the School of Athens. This fresco is the visual manifesto of the High Renaissance. It brings together the greatest minds of antiquity under one massive Roman arc. In the center, Plato points up into the realm of ideas, and Aristotle points down into the empirical world. It's a celebration of human knowledge, and Raphael was cheeky. He painted Michelangelo into the foreground as the brooding philosopher Heraclitus, and himself in the corner looking at the viewer. We shouldn't ignore the architecture of the time, which also sought perfect balance based on classical Roman ruins. Donato Bramante Tiepieto is tiny, but is considered the perfect example of high Renaissance architecture. It's radically symmetrical using distinct Roman Doric columns. It's a jewel box of mathematical proportion. Meanwhile, in Venice, artists like Titian were developing a different version of the high Renaissance. While Rome focused on form and line, Venice focused on brilliant oil-based color and light, setting the stage for future Baroque art. The High Renaissance changed the status of the artists forever. They were no longer just craftsmen, they were viewed as divinely inspired geniuses. They mastered linear perspective, human anatomy, and the nuances of light and shadow to create an idealized reality that felt more true than nature itself. But this moment of perfect balance was fragile. In 1527, foreign troops sacked Rome, scattering artists and ending the Golden Age. The harmony broke down into the chaotic, emotional style known as Mannerism. But for those few decades, humanity seemed to reach for and almost touch perfection. Thank you for watching.